Hi guys, and welcome to the new Brown Block podcast. I'm here with Rajpal Rekhi, as you probably heard from our last podcast. He is a member of the Brown Block family, and we're here today to discuss what's happening in the blockchain space and what's going on.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
Yep. So, unfortunately, Rajpal, I know you are really new to the industry, and you're basically more hands-on. You're our amazing designer. So, we heard from you last time.
Yep.
And I think this time you have a few questions for me, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have loads of questions for you actually. But first things first is, so I mean, you've been talking about how the blockchain industry has been crashing recently, and there's been a lot of weird discrepancies in performance.
Yep.
So what is actually going on? Like, what is causing that issue in the first place?
Well, if anyone who's part of the blockchain world that's listening to this, they all know that, well, cryptocurrency and the blockchain space in general right now is very volatile. I'd like to first differentiate blockchain and crypto first. Obviously, cryptocurrency is a use case of blockchain.
Yeah.
It's obviously the currencies and money and that whole shebang.
Yeah.
Blockchain itself is a technology, so
Used to create it.
which is used to create it. So what's happening with blockchain right now is that we're in a very interesting conundrum where there's many people that are actually wanting to implement and use the technology, but finding the limitations of the current platforms out there available.
So is it because it's saturated then? Is that what you're saying? Is that one of the reasons as to why it could be causing that?
It's not that it's saturated, but it's just it's very in its infancy stages. And what happened beforehand, I mean, the reason blockchain became so popular was because of cryptocurrency.
Right.
And what's happening is a lot of these projects, the way they were funded was through ICOs. And I mean, if you look at last year, I mean, Bitcoin was at, we're recording this in December to break the fourth wall again.
You really need to tell me what that means one day.
Fourth wall is basically when you, Deadpool's a really good example. He's a comic, but he talks about real world things. And he's kind of the starter of fourth wall breaks, but you'll learn.
So my answers. That's it. Podcast ended.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So I mean, this time last year, Bitcoin was approximately $18,000, $20,000.
Yeah, I was kicking myself at that point because I was just like, I wish
Everyone wished they'd purchased some Bitcoin at that point.
Yeah.
But now, if you look back, I mean, today I think it's down to $5,000.
That's ridiculous.
So there's been a lot of money which has been wiped out from the market.
Right.
So because of this, there's been a lot more uncertainty. Investors are now smarter and a bit more cautious when departing with their money. But one of the main issues is that these all these projects that were funding and actually raised a lot of money last year, majority of them, they didn't actually convert their money back to fiat. They kept their money in crypto.
Right, okay.
And because of that Ethereum that they potentially raised, which was equivalent to, let's say, 1 million.
Right.
At that time, Ethereum, I think, was around about, let's say, £500, £600
Right.
For one Ethereum.
Right.
That same thing has dropped down to like £250. They've pretty much lost half of their money.
That's crazy.
that they originally started off with.
Right.
So I've met projects. I was in Malta back in November 2018, and they were basically stating that, I mean, many of the projects I met were doing a second ICO.
Right, okay.
And they were all stating that the money that they raised, because of the value now of Ethereum and Bitcoin and all these other currencies, it's depreciated so much that they only have 1 or 2 months that they can continue with.
I guess even from an investment perspective, like if that company is coming to me with a second ICO, I wouldn't have much confidence in investing in them because you haven't really returned my money or haven't seen any progress.
Of course, I mean you haven't been able to see the progress. The money that you've raised has been turned to was worthless now, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But
so that must be really hard for those brands or whatever the projects or what they're doing. It must be
exactly,
hard.
and some of them were on their way to actually doing really successful projects.
That's a shame, yeah.
But they don't have enough money to pay the team. They don't have enough money to fund a lot of the other. I mean, literally, I remember speaking to one. They're like, if we aren't able to raise enough money within the next 2 months, we're gone.
Right.
So there's a lot of money which has been vacuumed out of the whole economy, and a lot of the blockchain projects are suffering because of that.
Right.
So it's one of the issues which is currently caused with the current market. Obviously, there's lots of benefits from this market as well. Like a lot of the really scammy projects that we had initially last year,
Filtered out, yeah.
they obviously aren't able to raise any money now. So that's great. But again, the issue is you have some really good projects that have really good ideas, but
They might never progress.
they won't. They're really struggling in this environment now.
What would you say would help those projects to like even get out there? Because in this kind of volatile market where investors are being stingy with their investments because they're looking for more returns probably not instant returns, but they need more confidence into into what they're investing in. What would you say? What can these brands do to at least get some sort of investment or interest?
I mean, that's a good question, and I would love to have a real answer for you. But if someone was able to give a real answer, everyone's problems would be solved.
Right.
What I think is currently happening, though, is many of these investors they're a lot smarter now. They're definitely doing their due diligence. They're actually researching the projects, looking at the teams, and really making sure that they know who they're talking to.
Right.
And the only way they can do that is by educating themselves. So if they're looking for tools and like different programs, and they're going to universities just to educate themselves, become more aware, learn more about the technology, actually behind the business as well. And on top of that, I think a lot of them are actually waiting for the value of Bitcoin and Ethereum to increase.
Right.
We've been having a bear market since March now.
Yeah.
That's when the dip started to happen.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of investors are now holding out for Bitcoin to go up.
I guess this goes back to the conversation we had last week as well. Is that maybe this is the time for brands to start getting built. Like if you've got a brand around your project, then eventually, investors will see that this company is serious. That even though they might not have the funding or they might not be getting, the return might not be instant. But if they build a brand around something, then eventually, whatever product they build, they will sell something. So I guess that's something that we can advise, like that kind of those sort of people to focus on.
Yeah, no, definitely. Brands are definitely. I mean, building a brand is a key aspect of creating your own business, and that is essentially what they're doing. And now this is even more important for them to prove to their investors and to prove before they even start. If they are able to build a following, if they're able to gain interest, if they're able to build part of their platform before asking for investment and funding,
it gives you confidence.
It gives you confidence, and you can not only approach crypto, like blockchain related investors, but then you can look at normal standard VCs, because you're not going to them with a blockchain project or an ICO. You're going to them with a business and a brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So that really holds a lot more value compared to anything else currently in this market, as we speak in December 2018.
Is there any companies out there that are doing this, or is this something that most companies haven't really woken up on yet?
I mean, right now the market's leaning towards what we call an STO, which is a security token offering.
Right.
It's basically the next version of an ICO, which was the initial coin offering.
Right.
The STO, the way it operates is it actually it works under financial regulatory regulation.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So whatever the like, for example, the FSA in the UK or the SEC is in America, it works within the jurisdiction.
Right. Okay.
So any type of money and anything, it's all usually equity based because it's a security token, right?
Right. Yeah.
So any type of equity the project offers is all the projects basically offer equity.
Yeah.
So that's the return that they receive. So because of that, it's now a bit safer for investors to invest in them.
Right.
But I still say safer, but
Just to think there's going to be stigmatism attached to this.
There's obviously going to be a risk involved. But this is where the debate happens, and that's what's an ICO versus a STO.
Right.
Now, with an ICO, you don't have to be an accredited investor.
Right.
Anyone can invest. It's more like crowdfunding,
Right.
So me and you, we're not accredited investors, but we can still invest the money into an ICO project.
Right.
With an STO, you have to be an accredited investor.
Right.
To
then
participate.
that's going to limit the pool of investment available.
Exactly. But so the benefit is that you're dealing with people that have experience in investing, and they know.
And plus, they're serious about investing.
They're serious about investing, and they probably have a lot higher money that they can provide you. So you're having more people. I mean, you're going to have less people, and more money.
But then that just means competition is going to become fierce. Then.
But then on the downside of it is you're going to have less people that you can actually target,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And if they don't believe you can't really raise that money as you initially wanted to do. And depending obviously on your consensus protocol, so that's basically proof of work or proof of mining, that also might affect your project. Because with an ICO, and if you're doing proof of work, you'll probably get quite a few of the people that are investing in your ICO to join and become miners or to participate within your blockchain. If you're doing investment privately, like if it's a accredited investor, you're not going to be advertising and like really promoting your brand and your business as much, right? So then, well, you're going to have to, but it's going to be a separate strategy now. It's going to be less people are going to know about you in your initial phases and your fundraising phase.
Right.
So there's definitely pros and cons to both an ICO and an STO. But this is where the market's heading right now, and it's interesting because when I was in Malta had finally caught up with regulation on an ICO, but I think they're 4 or 5 months behind. So they finally caught up to that train, but now the STO train started, and at the moment it's really difficult for an exchange, for example, where an exchange being like Coinbase, where all these you can actually buy and sell cryptocurrencies. They are at the moment unable to have, or they don't have licenses for STOs. So that's going to be the next stage, is getting them available. So then you can buy and sell you can basically buy and sell equity. And obviously the only way that can happen is the FSA, for example, has to then provide a license to the exchange to be able to do that.
Right, okay. So, you've told me a lot there.
Yeah,
about,
it's been quite heavy. Sorry, guys.
No, this is good. It's been informative as well. One question I would say to you is that what would you... where do you see it going now? Like in about a year's time?
A year's a very long time in the industry. I think most people in the industry work within 3 months blocks.
I'm just going to put it out there. Yeah, in a year's time, what do you reckon?
We're looking... Okay, let's just say goals to 2020. If we're talking about the crypto space, then the crypto space... my personal opinion is that I think Bitcoin and we're probably going to get a bullish market coming in March, April time. That's what I've heard, and it does sound quite realistic because it looks like we're at the bottom right now.
Yeah.
So the only way the market can really go is up. So I think a lot of people are waiting until that time now, and I think from there, as the value of the currencies goes up, I think a lot more people will be willing to invest, and I think the market will then restart and reboot. And I think a lot of the investors that were there beforehand have kind of been done with it.
Yeah.
So now the people that are going to be investing are people that are serious, that actually really want to support projects, support the blockchain community, and really, help with the innovation.
Right.
So now that's going to be the push. And when that does happen, I think by the end of 2019, I really think that there'll be a lot more breakthroughs within the space, and I think a lot of the issues we have now in terms of like storage, scalability, that I think we will be closer to solving those, or if not, we will be.
Interesting because obviously technology is going to progress over the next 2 years as well, and the way that media is consumed is going to change. So even the way that brands are formulated is going to change. So that in terms of product side, things are going to change as well. So it'll be quite interesting to see what kind of technologies are built around blockchain.
Exactly.
With different devices, different touch points.
Blockchain itself, I think there's going to be a lot more use cases coming up really soon. I think within the next 6 months, I think we're going to have a lot more companies starting to do their prototype stages and using blockchain. We've had a few tasters this year already with the likes of HSBC, Visa, MasterCard, BA just took it up, Singapore Airlines have taken it up. So there's slowly more companies are starting to try it. But a lot of these companies they're working with either IBM or Microsoft to basically kick off start it. But public chains haven't really been used as much because of these issues in terms of scalability and basically the security and everything of elements of it. Now it's going to be interesting. As these problems are getting closer to being solved,
it's going to open up.
It's going to open up a lot more different things.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's see. 1 year is quite a long time. I think I'm looking within the next 3 months, and I think there's going to be some. China's a really interesting player as well. I think in the next 3 to 6 months, I think China's going to be doing something big too. And I think that might be quite game changing as well, in terms of let's just say potentially they release their own currency themselves.
Crazy.
And I think there have been talks about it for the last 9 to 10 months. And I think if they make it a reality, it's almost been a year since March, and I think the whole Neo talks happened. So, yeah, we'll see.
Happens, yeah.
Let's see what happens. It's quite exciting. That's our December report for now. And
Thank you for having me.
no, let's talk in January and see what's really happened. Because with this industry, we'll be talking about a few ideas now, and it could all be wrong or it could all be right.
I feel like I think we've hit the nail on the head.
I think we might have been close with quite a few points, but
It'd be good to review it and
for sure.
see where our predictions lie and
Exactly.
how they contrast with.
and it'd be really good to hear like other people's opinions as well. Like
Sure.
if you guys do have any opinions, then definitely message us and talk to us and let us know what you think. And
If there's any content that you want us to produce as well, if there's any topics that you want us to talk about, feel free to let us know as well. And
I mean, we'll be really excited to produce it and research it ourselves. So
yeah.
feel free, guys. But thanks so much for joining us today, and
Thank you, yeah.
all the best.
See ya.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.